Hi, my name is Megan Bennett-Burks. I'm going to be dungeon mastering this session of Fate Leaves of Chiaroscuro. I'm going to have you both introduce your characters. I'll start with Liz.
I am playing Vieri d'Est, the son and heir of Oliver d'Est, the Duke of Chiogio. Now that I have a name for his dookie, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to say it totally wrong a few times at the very least.
I have no idea how it's pronounced. I literally just picked a town off a map and said, let's turn this into a dookie. Cool.
Yeah. Well, and it works. I know that I'm going to mispronounce some Italian a few times, and it's going to be completely, just obscene as a result. All right, Mark.
I'm playing Octavio Mancuso, a heir Aperion. Is that how you say it?
Yep. It's either Aperion or I think it's Apeiron, actually.
Apeiron.
I stole the word from somewhere else.
He is a street performer, air juggler, entertainer of children and general folk. He is crusading against the evils of the Catholic Church, which he sees as keeping down all of his kindred spirits and mankind as well. So.
All right, so you were heading towards Vieri's villa in order to meet up with Kemal the sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a lamp that is being inhabited by a demon presently. It hasn't done anything so far, so as far as you can tell, it looks like it's largely sealed within that lamp, but,
Yeah.
Demons are not known for being the most predictable creatures in the world.
And things happen.
Yep. So you're walking down the streets, heading back towards the villa from the safe house, when you notice there's a poster. And actually, now you realize, I've seen a few posters just sort of hung up on walls around town lately. And you look, and this one has an image of a man burning, a bunch of kindling around him, and it's like he's exhaling the form of some sort of demon, perhaps, a sort of wolfish-looking demon.
Mm.
And it says, "When Venice is married to the sea, there will be salvation for all."
Interesting. Can I take the poster?
Yeah, you can just rip it off the wall.
I'll just rip it down and tuck it away.
All right, so you tear off, and you continue until you reach Vieri's villa. I imagine you have a manservant there, probably, that greets you.
Well, I'm already at my villa.
Oh, you went early. Okay,
yeah,
so
I went early at the end of... while he was still recovering, I went in the wee hours of the morning.
Oh, that's right. So eventually you reach there. Vieri is already there. A man arrives, brought in by your manservant, and he greets you. He's wearing largely what you would expect a traditional Arabic fellow to wear during this time period, but he has a hood drawn partway over his face, and his face is concealed by a mask, which looks like the visage of a black jackal. Has a very Egyptian appearance to it. And he says, "Greetings, Vieri," and then your friend arrives right behind him. He kind of doesn't expect anyone there, so he says, "Hello. I am Kemal. I had been told by your father that you were in need of some aid or magical knowledge."
Yes. My dad didn't tell me anything about Kemal, did he?
Not really. Not much. Just that he's a sorcerer, he seems trustworthy, and your father thinks he's trustworthy. And told you that he's from the Mideast.
Vieri will consider him for a moment. Yes. Come in. Would you care for some refreshment?
He says, "Certainly, thank you. Now, do not let my visage frighten you. I know that Selati kind do not generally go about without their masks in most quarters," and he slowly pulls the mask off, and he does rather look like Anubis, a just black, furry jackal's head.
I have no problems with your kind, assuming you do not start any with me.
He says, "Oh, certainly not. Thank you." And he takes a seat.
This is my companion. I can't remember your name, Mark. What's your name?
Octavio.
Octavio. If you'd prefer a discussion between yourself and myself, I can have him wait elsewhere. But he's been involved thus far, so
He turns and says, "Good to meet you, Octavio. It is up to you, Vieri. I have no problem in either case. If you trust him, then I trust him as well."
that's very kind of you. And you, Very will look to Octavio. I'm presuming you'd like to stay.
Yes. At least to possibly raise some questions if need be. I don't know.
Well, you were the only one of us able to do anything against that creature, so having you here would probably be wise.
As you wish.
Yes. Very well. Barry will sit down. He'll send his servants off to get a drink, and they'll have small talk, I guess, until it arrives, and then he'll send his manservant off so they can speak privately.
All right. Once all these servants are gone and he has a drink, he says, "So I'm going to have to take a look at this artifact that."
Octavio hands it to him.
That is of concern. Kamal looks it over and says, "Cats. Cats would be either the demon has an affinity for them or they are its enemy, and it is hard to say which. Chances are cats are guardians that help contain it."
Interesting. Is the demon in the bottle?
That seems quite reasonable. Let me study it further for a moment. He turns it over and kind of looks at every which way. He kind of grasps it and closes his eyes for a moment. He says, "Yes, the spirit is definitely within. I suggest that to deal with this, we take it to an isolated place where there are no people or structures you particularly are concerned with being destroyed.
Outside?
I suggest that we bring a few cats."
You suggest that we find some?
Yes.
Outside the city seems best, then. Do I know of anywhere like that?
Well, there is that place where that one feral Therian was that you tracked down. But that did have a weird labyrinth growing, too.
Oh, right, the labyrinth.
Island. There's lots of little islands up north that are just pretty much swamp.
Well, let us journey to one of the small islands that dot the coast, then.
Okay. So, what ship do you take to get there?
Well, I can sail them, so we can take a little one that will take just the three of us, like not a major ship, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you're just pretty much going to use, like, one owned by the family?
Yeah.
So we're basically taking a gondola?
Something like that, yeah. Something
You probably
small.
want something a little bit bigger than a gondola and a little more seaworthy, but yeah, you find a small ship. Your family would have a few, and we can just get heading towards north, and some hours later you come to an island that looks small, swampy, isolated. Not really a place that anyone would ever want to bother living.
I do wish to ask Kamal, have you observed any strange phenomena around the city lately?
He says, "No, not in particular."
Nothing with sand? Have you noticed sand about?
He says, "I can't say that I have."
Interesting. We have seen a great deal of it. It seems to possess... I'm not certain if it possesses corpses or if they die during the process. It is most disturbing. We suspect this has something to do with this demon here.
I was going to say that does sound like demonic activity. No way for me to immediately know for sure if it's the same demon. But hopefully we can find out once it's dealt with. I warn you again that this could be very dangerous.
How exactly
more.
are we dealing with this?
We're going to make a containment circle, try to question it, and then hopefully banish it back to its own realm.
I fail to see how it could be more dangerous than leaving it out to its own devices.
Yes.
Certainly releasing it would be the worst thing. I mean, fully releasing it. It does have to be temporarily released into a circle, unfortunately, which is itself a risk.
Why? Can't you just seal it without...
No. Unfortunately, there is a process to all of these different creatures. If I were to, for instance, simply destroy the lamp, then it would be free for a time. And if it took a host during that time, then it wouldn't drift back to its own realm. Now, if I destroyed the lamp and was lucky enough it didn't possess anything, then it would eventually dissolve and go back to its own realm. And you'd be rid of it for a long time, at least. He says, I must begin drawing the circle. And he pulls out some tools and starts drawing a circle in the wet dirt. He fills it with some different materials, that some sort of silvery powder, and begins his work. Now, did you bring any cats? He says. Cats would make it less likely to be a problem, I think, if it's the sort of demon I believe it to be.
You know, Liz completely forgot about that in the conversation of boats. But
No
given
cats.
that... Well, I was going to say, given that it was several hours and it was an out-of-character conversation about boats, it seems weird that Vieri would have forgotten.
I don't know if you got so caught up in boats.
Yeah.
You have a flyer with you that's fast.
Yeah.
And the idea of somebody trying to fly with cats is kind of funny.
Damn it.
But I'll say you don't have any right now.
Would you care to retrieve some, or shall I?
I can try.
Alright. So, Mark.
So I'm going to fly off towards the nearest little village.
Alright. So you reach sort of the outskirts of the Silati district in Venice.
Okay.
Make a notice check.
Oh boy. Notice.
Damn it.
I am +4 at notice, so awesome.
I'll have the cat trying to stealth.
Yeah. +5.
So you see a mewing kitten amongst some garbage, and then a larger mother cat sort of hisses at you as you near.
So I go for
Cats are going to be your doom.
Huh?
You know cats are going to be your doom. They'll win the battle.
Yes. Yes.
Grab them both! Grab them both!
Yes. I grab a twig and try to distract the mother.
Okay.
And just kind of try to play with her, you know.
So she swats at it and hisses and sort of arcs her back and poofs up.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is not working. So I just go in to grab the mother.
All right, athletics check, or fight. Fight works too, actually.
I'll do athletics.
Hey, cut that out, little guy.
Actually, she dodges out of the way. She hisses and leaps.
Dang. Come here, you. I am going to try again. So that is 2. Better.
Oh, you snag her by the scruff of her neck.
Yep.
And the kitten
And I'm just holding her by the scruff out at arm's length. With my other hand, I'll reach down and grab the kitten.
Alright. So, you fly back?
Yeah.
So you fly back with this just angry cat yowling at you the whole way. Until you arrive.
Wonderful.
And Kamal says, good, good. Cats are guardians against evil such as this. And some demons are especially vulnerable to them. He says, the circle is complete. I'll need the lamp.
So I imagine Vieri has it.
Oh, at this point, yeah, I probably do.
Do you hand it to him?
Yeah.
So he takes it and places it in the center of the circle and says, now, whatever you do not go inside the circle or give it permission to leave. He says, I'll need some aid in the chanting from the both of you. This is much easier with additional participants. He snags the two cats and actually puts them on either side of the circle, and they calm down and seem to be staring directly at the lamp.
Fascinating.
Do you aid him in the chanting?
Yeah.
Yep.
As you aid with the chanting, you feel the rise of this energy from the circle until it begins to crackle with lightning, and you see just a smoke with electricity intermingled within it pouring forth from the lamp. And what forms is a huge feathered serpent that looks rather like an amphipter.
Cut it out.
But it radiates with this just electrical sizzle crawling up and down its form.
Nasty.
And it looks at you and says, why have you summoned me? I am Kosafal, demon of sand and air, and it has sort of a cobra-like hood to it.
Mm-hmm. Sand and air, eh?
Yes.
Are you responsible for the sand creatures we've run into in town?
He says, indeed. You have need of my services.
We do.
It makes this smile and says, I'm quite happy to help, half-mortal.
Who was your previous contractor?
That I cannot say. For though, as you have summoned me, I am now bound to your will and this mage's will above both of you. That order overrules.
Well, I think we've solved our problem. If you're responsible for the creatures that we've been running into, now that we can make you stop.
Are there any other orders which might supersede any we would give you?
If there were any further ones, I cannot say. You can make a empathy check.
Okay.
Actually, I only got a fair for that.
I actually have empathy. Who knew? I did at one point, I just forgotten, I suppose. 5.
5? No, you're confident he doesn't have any other orders that he can't speak of. He's digging for something, just to throw you off, but he seems to be pretty firmly controlled. So yeah, you're confident that he just can't say who his master's name is and any other too, guilt-proving aspects of that.
Alright, well tell us what your previous task was then.
The sands were to spread and create legions. I do not know anything further than that they were gathering. what he intended to use them for. He must have had some glorious plan.
Yes, that is the most usual plan when one gathers an army. Are there any still in existence?
He closes his eye and sort of flicks his forked tongue. Says, yes, many.
Let's see.
Do you desire them for your own? I would be happy to hand them over to you.
I do not.
Vieri, don't you think we could turn the tables on the person behind this? Surely you want to end them, those responsible.
The demon says, yes, that is a great plan.
With such methods, I do not.
It says that is most disappointing.
If you ask around, you'll discover that that is most commonly said in regards to myself. I quite frequently disappoint the expectations of others.
Yeah, including demon snakes.
Vieri will look to Kamal. What's he doing?
He's just standing there, staring at it. And the two cats are doing likewise.
So he's waiting for some indication from us as to what to do?
Yeah, it appears.
I believe that I am done here.
Kamal looks to you and says, that's wise. I would have had to try to stop your command from going through. I have surrendered a little bit of control by letting you aid me. But I will not surrender it all. And he begins another chant, and then the fiend lets out a angry hiss and a snarl and says, no, think of what you could have with my armies. And then it bursts just into scales and smoke that sort of swirls about the circle and vanishes. And then the two cats run off. He turns to you and says, well, that is done. I am tired and would like to go rest. And you actually feel kind of fatigued, too.
Would you like to rest here, or shall we move elsewhere?
Elsewhere would be fine. I don't think I'm going to be able to relax very well in the small boat.
Very well. Alright, we'll head back then.
Alright, you head back. He goes to your villa unless you tell him otherwise. And he says, do you have a guest room or anything that I might peruse?
Yes, right. I'll have my servant lead you and provide anything you may require.
He says, thank you very much. And then he goes and he rests.
Vieri will say to Octavio, there are certain methods which I believe come with far too many drawbacks to use. I would prefer to thwart our opponent in other ways than using demons.
Octavio smiles and says, I'm glad you said that.
Oh?
I kind of was testing you, but...
I see. May I ask what you would have done had I given approval?
Oh, well,
Put me down where I stood?
No. Just stopped you. Tried to make you see reason that doing so would make you no better than them. But I'm glad that you came to your decision.
Demons can offer nothing which I do not already possess. The question, however, is identifying his previous master.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I could think of no methods by which to trick such information out of him, and dallying seemed unwise.
undoubtedly you suspect the other family, right?
Yes, it was their ship after all.
Yeah.
Does make them a bit suspicious, at least.
That or somebody's framing them.
They're involved in some way, yes. Whether directly or indirectly is unclear as of yet. The one puzzle I have is the Mercurio working with the blood of Adam to sink the ship. Unless they simply intended on collecting the lamp at a later point. What do you think?
I don't know. It's a mystery.
One you could perhaps solve somehow, though.
Well, perhaps we can convince Antonio to maybe infiltrate the blood of Adam here?
They know him on sight.
Yeah, they really do.
I'd forgotten you missed our previous fracas with them. They recognize him on sight. Sending him their way would be decidedly unwise. And presuming, even if he were not to be recognized, he would likely attempt something foolhardy like blowing up their building upon getting inside.
Which would be a sight.
Yes. Considering he picked a fight with an entire battalion all on his own, I do not think that sending him alone to infiltrate would be smart.
Yeah, somehow I don't think that'll end the same way as his going up against the bull would end. They would probably just kill him.
We could go take a look at the side of the ship and see if there's any activity.
Yes.
Given that we retrieved the lamp, they will likely still be searching if that's what they had done.
Do you start to head over to port side?
I'm waiting for Octavia to respond to that.
We can go, yes. Do you trust this mage to be here alone?
My father trusts him. So he is either trustworthy or he is an impersonator, and at this point it would be too late to worry about him.
Your house.
Well, by that I mean if he's an impersonator, I've already invited him in and informed him about our dealings. There's very little else he could do.
So as you're talking, one of your servants comes in and says, Vieri, I have a note from your father.
Yes?
And he hands it to you, and it's a sealed note.
I will open it.
Alright, as you open it up, it's an invitation to your older cousin's, not a wedding, but they're just trying to sort of introduce him to other noble girls. And it takes place in 3 days at Mestre, which is just a mainland town of Venice, which is actually mostly noble villas.
Gotcha.
So
how far away?
About 6 miles.
Oh, so not very far at all.
Yeah, it's close. And that's in 3 days. Let's see, I have a name for your cousin, too. Durante, that's his name. And he is 23.
I don't remember how old is Vieri.
22, I think.
Oh, okay, so he's around my age.
Yeah. And you know of him. He wasn't even known to be a family member until even later than you. So he's even more of a noble bastard in a way than you are.
Gotcha.
But they still have to set him up with someone.
Yeah, I'm just lucky it hasn't started on me yet.
Yeah. Well, it probably has. but for whatever reason it's not worked.
Alright. Well, I'll inform him as to what we're intending on doing.
Okay.
And then we can depart if you like.
All right.
So you start making your way towards the docks. On the way, you do notice one other poster like that. You see somebody else kind of look at it and tear it down, actually. And they rip it up.
And that reminds me, I pull it out and show it to Vieri. What's your thoughts on this?
Re-describe the poster to me, if you would.
So it has an image of a man being burned, a bunch of kindling around him, and he's exhaling what looks like some sort of demon, a sort of lupine, wolfish-looking demon. And it says, on the day that Venice is married to the sea, there will be salvation for all.
Can I attempt to roll academics to see if that rings any bells for me?
Actually would without even rolling because you've lived in Venice your whole life. So there in May is a day when Venice has a sort of festival celebrating its ties to the ocean. I'm going to say it wrong, but it's La Festa della Senza, and I think it actually historically took place different days, different years, but this year it's May 24th. So little over a month.
Interesting. And it's not advertising anything, it's just a weird promotional thing?
Yeah, it's just a weird promotion. It sounds religious, for sure.
Fascinating.
But there's no association with that and burning anything or demons.
And I asked Vieri, are there any noble houses that associate themselves with wolves?
Not that you can immediately think of around. I'll even have you roll. Do you have local lore?
Yes, I do. Area knowledge? That's what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Four.
Not really in Venice. I mean, the wolf is sometimes associated with Rome, so it could be some sort of propaganda associated with Rome or anti-Rome, but it could be completely unrelated. It's hard to say because it's a little vague.
Interesting.
So you make your way to the port and reach it. There's lots of boats going in and out at this hour.
What time of day is it?
It's late morning.
All right. So get in the boat and head out to the wreck site.
Are you using the same one as before, your family boat, the small one?
No, actually, I was just thinking this was perhaps an unwise destination. We can get there on our own more quickly and far more discreetly in using other methods.
That's true.
Let us change course.
Okay, so where do you head?
Someplace. Well, how would I take him to the same little bar that I took?
Oh God, yeah. So you head to the Selati district to the the slaughtered man. That's what it was called.
Yep, the slaughtered man.
You have like a man hanging like on a meat hook. Like,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's really profane. And you can hear there's already a bar brawl, even in the late morning, going on inside there. And you see just this angry crocodile-headed guy going after a guy that's erupted into fire, and people darting out the door as they're brawling.
Just skirt around the edge. Let's go.
Yeah, the bartender is just yelling at them. Furious.
I'll throw some coins on the counter, and up we go.
And Octavio looks at Vieri and is like, really? Shocked me. Truly
Oh, that's
surprised
right.
me.
You don't actually know that Veer is a dragon yet, do you?
No.
So I get the same shock value twice. Awesome.
That's right. Oh, that's funny.
I did the same thing to what's his name now? Antonio.
Yeah. Yeah. It was something else before.
Yep. But remember, that's why I make everybody give me their word that they won't discuss me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I already made him give his word on that as well, so.
So you go up to a room and shape change?
Well, yeah, Vieri will lead the way to a room. He'll open the door and gesture you to go inside. I'm presuming you do.
I look curious, but I enter.
He very clearly has a purpose that he's going into.
It's to a strange bar, though.
Yeah.
He closes the door and locks it, and then opens the window and says, shall we go? And then he'll change, and he becomes a pearly white dragon. And then just sleeps out the window.
Do you follow?
After a moment of kind of shock and
After you pick your jaw up off the floor.
I'm like, wait a minute, I thought that what is it, Antonio? Antonia? I'm forgetting the other guy's name. I thought he was the only one.
So I change into my air form and follow.
So you both soar over towards where the shipwreck is. You find the location. There's no activity going on there at the moment that you can see anyways, but you do find at least you're pretty sure it's the general location.
Mm-hmm. Can I talk in dragon form?
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
So while we're still high in the air looking down, as you've no doubt concluded, this is how I retrieved the lamp. I simply waited until the ship sank and went down to explore it.
Oh. Okay. I thought you might have hired somebody, but...
No. There are some things it is best to do oneself.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, either no one has been here, they've come and gone, or they are using other methods to find what they seek.
Could be any of this.
Yes.
What is more disturbing is what the mage said about them having more creatures about.
Yes, he said that there were still quite a few around. Didn't he?
Yeah, well, that was the demon. The demon said, oh yeah, there's quite a few around. Do you want them for your own?
The question is, we haven't heard anything about a large amount of activity.
Well, no one seems aware of it. Even the Kamal, the sorcerer, detected nothing untoward. I know there were more than a few still in the ship when it sank. They are quite possibly wandering around the ocean, depending upon their durability.
Aquatic zombies.
The question is, when he said more than a few, was he referring to them, or is there a small army elsewhere?
Yes.
Oh, what the hell. I'll dive down.
Okay. So you dive down. You can see the shipwreck down below. You're swimming towards it. Make a physique check.
Okay. Are you following me?
Can I follow in their form?
You can. You'll just have to make a physique check to hold your breath for very long, too.
Okay.
No, I rolled a 0.
A 0. So you get just down to where the ship is in time to realize you're running out of air and have to rush back up. But yeah, it looks much like in the condition, as far as you can tell, that it was when it first sank. But it hasn't been super long either. Unfortunately, you didn't get to explore any of it.
Can you create air for us to freely explore?
He could with a spell.
Yeah. I've never tried it, but I could certainly try.
I know nothing of sorcery.
Well, that would be... So I have air and phantasm.
Mm-hmm. Think about what you would do to create air.
I suppose I would make a bubble. It wouldn't be a bubble per se, but it would just be basically a spinning ball of air that would basically just keep the water at, outside of it.
All right. It's pretty much like a magical scuba diving mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would totally work. You'd want to cast one for yourself and one for Vieri then.
Okay.
If you're going to go down also.
Yeah.
So you want to roll Magicka.
Okay.
Twice, actually, and spend 2 Ka.
Okay. So that's 3. Five.
Perfect.
And 1.
You only need that much for tier 1, so... Yeah, both of you have air for a scene.
Great.
Let's see if you can find my notes on the ship, too.
Sorcerers are useful.
Yeah.
You're most welcome.
They run out of gas eventually, but yeah. So you dive down to the shipwreck, make it all the way down. You find there's a big hole you can enter through to get in.
Let's go in.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird and unnerving being surrounded by water on every side, but able to breathe just by basically a membrane of air being around your head. As you dive inside, the first place that you reach is indeed the cargo hold. You can see some foodstuffs still floating around in the water.
Cheese.
Yeah, there's some cheese that doesn't look like it'd be edible anymore. You do see a few crates that are open and empty, and more crates that are stacked still. There's something else you think you can see faintly moving back there, but make a notice check.
Okay.
2.
2?
3.
So you're thinking it's just that maybe a fish, a large fish, even possibly a shark, has gotten into the cargo hole and is moving way back there?
Looks like a shark.
Here's hoping it will leave us alone.
Yeah. Can I inspect some of the closer boxes?
Yeah.
And do I see any family markings from there?
They're actually not marked at all.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Would I know if they're supposed to be? Or is that normal?
It would be normal for them to be marked. Yes.
That's what I thought.
Which makes it a pain to inventory anything, but there's reasons.
Are there numbers on them at all, or no?
I'll say yeah that there were numbers, but no like greater details than that.
What say you we search for the captain's or navigator's quarters?
Yes, that should be above us.
All right. So you swim up to above. As you try to so there would be a door sort of up into the captain's up onto deck and then to the captain's quarters, but you're pushing and it kind of feels like something heavy is on it or it's barred.
How Okay.
We could go outside and look for a way in.
Yes, let's do that.
All right, so you swim outside and you look for a way in. Now you see that there is a corpse standing on top of where you were trying to exit. So that's what was barring your way.
Like, clearly still
It
mobile.
looks at you, yeah, it looks at you.
Alarming. I believe we must take care of that.
Yes.
It sees us, right? You just said.
Yeah, it's looking right at you. And it lets out sort of a bubbling moan.
I'm gonna try to swing a claw.
Okay.
And, club it.
All right, it will attempt to sort of grab and push your arm away as you do that. It got a superb, so you want to get +5 or, well, yeah.
Ooh. Here goes the combat. I got +5 exactly.
Okay, so
I'm actually a pretty decent fighter.
it doesn't hit, but it gets a boost on its next attack against you, which gives it a bonus.
Okay.
Because it's thrown you a little
Are
not
there
off balance in the water, but you are swimming sort of pushing you away from it a bit.
any combat bonuses or anything associated with being a dragon?
No, it's really just flight by and large,
Okay.
unless you take other stunts. So yeah, it pushes you away. Mark, do you do anything?
Yeah, I'll try to fight it. I'll come in and...
Alright, it tries to do really the same thing to you, but it only gets a +1.
Yeah.
Alright. You hit it and sort of bash its skull partly in. It still is moving and it doesn't really have any sort of emotional reaction to being struck like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it does lash out at Vieri. And it's going to spend that boost to get a +2, which would be...
So what do I do? I just
I got a great... So you want to defend yourself by probably rolling fight to parry.
La 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 la. I think this is the first time Vieri's really done anything active. +5.
+5, you dodge out of the way, or parry it. It moans at you again, trying to get at you. So how do you respond?
I'm going to try to just leap right on top of it and rake it with my claws.
Okay.
If I'm going to have all 4 clawed feet as a dragon, I might as well use all 4 clawed feet. Although I'm assuming that's the same systemically as just
the
hitting
same
it with one.
technically.
Come on, good roll. I would say that's a good roll. +6.
+6? Okay. You scratch into it, just clawing its skull open, and it stops moving and sort of drifts away. Just the current picking it up. So no more zombie.
Let us hope that's the only one.
Well done.
One can only hope.
Thank you.
Now let's get us to the captain's, or the navigator's office.
Yep, so it's just right up ahead.
So we go in.
Alright, you try to open the door, however, it's firmly locked. Burglary would be the way to get in, or pry it open with physique.
Which I don't have either. What about a porthole on the side?
There is, you just have to break through it, and then it would be a narrow fit, but assuming your character is thin, you could get through.
I'm in my air form, so...
Well,
yeah, it's probably pretty thin.
This ship was attacked, right, via cannonball.
Yes. You did that hole originally.
Could we find anything that might feature as a battering ram and work together to bash the door open?
Oh, sure. Make a notice check.
Probably a spar.
Oh, nice. So you do find something, Mark, that could work to force the door open.
All right.
It would be used for that purpose.
All right. So I'll try to force it open.
Right, you do so, and you find the captain's quarters flooded with water, complete with a desk,
I'll go to the desk.
a feather pen floating around. There's nobody inside, dead or alive.
But the door was locked?
Yeah, it was, so they would have had to do it from the outside, which is kind of strange. Or something else is going on.
Yeah. I'll look for...
Go ahead.
We'll just search the desk. Barry's looking for logs or charts or anything of that nature.
So you're looking around. The only thing is I don't think logs and charts were very waterproof, generally, were they?
Nope.
Nope.
Likely not.
You do find a pendant on it that has a curio seal, and when you flip it over, you notice it has some sort of sigil on the other side.
I'll take it.
Magical?
Maybe. It looks like the sigil would imply something arcane.
Are there any indications or anything in here that would help us identify who the captain was?
Maybe the sigil, if you could understand it, but other than that, there's papers, but they all look just, the water has made the ink run terribly. And they're so soggy, once you try to do anything with them, they'll probably fall apart.
What about logbook?
You do see a book.
Alright, I'll just grab the book.
Okay.
And not open it until we get above the water.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll help.
So do you guys start heading out, or do you explore more?
I want to look around a little bit more.
Okay. Where do you start? Continuing within the office? Are you continuing within the captain's office, or?
Yeah, we'll give it a bit further of a search and see if there's anything non-specific that we might turn up.
Okay. Digging around more, you do find a dagger that was left there. You see, again, that feather pen floating around, but that's probably ruined. You find a little bag, a leather pouch, but that is about it.
I'll take the pouch.
Okay.
I'll follow his lead and we'll open things up once we've surfaced.
Alright. So you start surfacing?
No, we're gonna keep looking around the ship.
Okay. So where do you head to?
What say you we search for the navigator's chambers next?
Alright.
Alright. Do a notice check.
Oh, and he'll lean in and please do not speak my name. Refer to me as Draken, if you would.
Draken.
So.
Very creative, I know.
It is. It's very descriptive. You do find the navigator's orders.
I failed my notice roll.
Well, Mark found it.
I got a +5.
So he's starting to lead you the wrong way, and then Octavio says, "Wait, it's here." This door is not locked.
I actually got negative, so I would have literally led us into the other direction.
Yeah.
Oh.
Probably.
Here, say hello to my shark.
Yes. Wait, what are all these sharp, pointy objects that I'm walking into? So navigator's quarters, it's, same condition as all the other rooms, flooded with water. You're looking around, you don't see a map or anything in here except for one on the wall that's a very generic Venetian map.
No charts or anything?
No, just this one. Otherwise, it looks like it's been picked over, actually.
Very interesting. This, more than anything else, says to me that whoever owned this ship has been here and gone to retrieve whatever items they may have found of value.
Agreed.
But we'll continue searching just in case they missed anything.
Let's go to the crew, down to the crew level.
Alright, so you go below deck and start searching the crew. Here there's a lot more stuff left behind. You even do find that they left a body in there that is sort of starting to swim towards you.
Again. So I will try to fight it.
It actually reaches out to you and says, "Let me out of here, meat." In just a bubbly voice.
Out of the ship?
Bring me to dry land. So hungry. Much better meat on dry land. And it continues swimming towards you. How do you respond?
I'm gonna backhand it.
Okay.
The fight.
A talking corpse is still a corpse.
Especially one that says it wants the good meat that is up on dry land where it's not so wet.
Ooh, I like that roll. +7.
Okay. You pummel it until it stops moving.
Yeah, I got a +5.
Flashing it, yeah. And
Between the two of us, we make short work.
yeah, you just shredded it.
Look, in honor of Vieri, I made a little dragon scale bag.
Oh yeah. Fluffy.
Although he's not orange.
Dayglow dragon. That would definitely stand out. So yeah, here's the crew quarters. A lot more stuff has been left here. You see clothes sort of floating around. There's some daggers and relatively low quality swords.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately when you start inspecting the area, though, there's nothing of real importance.
No personal items.
No personal items, yeah. I mean,
Jewelry
unless you
or-
count daggers and clothes.
It seems kind of unusual.
Well, considering what the last one was interested in, he just wanted meat.
Well, I'm presuming that living
Yeah.
people at one point inhabited the ship, even if they were subsequently killed.
Mhm.
At one point, but there's no personal effects left behind. You can make a notice check though, actually.
I'm not very good at that.
I am.
Yeah.
Not that time, though. +3.
failed.
So +3, and what did you get, Vieri?
-2.
Oh god. So you're like, oh, I found something shiny, and then it's just like broken off glass from a damaged dagger. Mark, you find actually hidden in a mattress a gold ring.
Interesting. Yeah, can I inspect it?
Yeah.
What do
Simple.
I see?
It's a gold ring, so it's worth something, but it's a very simple gold ring.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would have been a wedding band.
Okay.
No markings, nothing on it.
There's some very simple, like, sort of wavy pattern carved into it, but that's it.
All right. I'll take it and possibly get it inspected when I get back.
That's the only thing that seems like a personal item that you find, though. And it was definitely hidden.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Shall we, anywhere else you want to look?
I can't think of anywhere else. We searched the crates in the hold, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did. And you found most of them just had, now soaking foodstuffs, or they were empty.
I believe we've done all that we can here.
Yes. So let's leave.
Alright, so you begin swimming back up and reach the surface just as your spell is running out. And then you take flight.
Alright.
Where do you head to after that?
Back to the bar, inn, whatever.
Okay. So you make it back to the bar, same room, nobody's occupying it again yet. With the bed that you wouldn't want to sleep in.
Well, it serves its purpose. What do you say we pause here and examine?
Yes.
Alright, so you halt, and what do you start looking through first?
I take the book and grab some of the sheets
Okay.
off the bed.
Notice a few bugs hop when you do that.
All
On
right.
second thought, let's retire elsewhere.
All right. So I put the book away and then.
I guess we'll go back to my villa.
Okay, so you reach your villa.
Vieri is not happy with bugs.
I would think not.
Remember, he refused to dress up as a beggar, too.
Yeah, that's true. The rest of you had to de-lice for a while after that.
Yeah.
It wasn't very.
How you found this bar is beyond me. I'm sure one of your servants told you about it.
So back at the villa, you use, I'm assuming, cloths to dry it off?
Yeah.
You have some facility with water magic, do you not? Could you not?
No.
Oh.
I'm
You
air.
get a phantasm in air, yeah.
Oh.
So you eventually dry it off. I mean, there's some pages of bleeding ink.
I just try to wrap it in the cloth and then just press,
Okay.
and hopefully it doesn't bleed everywhere, but get as much moisture out as I can, and then leave it towards near a fire for a little bit.
Oh, okay. So you do, and eventually it gets pretty dry. You can read some of it, so you know that this ship has been across the Mediterranean to the Syrian port and back. There's some logs of that travel which sound pretty normal. You're noticing as the log goes on, it gets a little more sort of. You don't know if they're speaking in code, if the guy is just becoming psychologically unhinged or what. But he seems to be getting a little paranoid, and he does mention that he has his reservations about agreeing to doing this. But he doesn't say what this is. You do start finding that some pages of the log have been taken out, and other places just words that he's written have been scratched out with ink, so covered in just smudges of ink. So clearly there are things in here that said more, but what he left behind just sounds like what would have been a normal travel to pick up goods from Syria and a few other locations along the coast to sort of ramblings.
Interesting.
Interestingly, he doesn't say Di Mercurio by name at any point, or if he did, it's been covered in ink. Which suggests a degree of precision that's beyond just a rambler.
Yeah. Since we know this ship was owned by Mercurio.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what's in that. What?
I was going to say, are there any other names mentioned of people?
There are first names. There's a name Dario. And it mentions bringing back spices for Dario, and gives a list of spices. I'm trying to think of which spices would be appropriate to be getting from Syria, even. But it would be those sorts.
Paprika.
Yeah.
Frankincense.
There we go. So those sorts of things. You skim down, there is a mention of a few antique lamps, a few different ones. One of them does sound like the one you found, but the other, I'm going to say there's two more, they don't really.
Does it mention the Syrian port that they went to?
It does. Offhand, I don't know the geography of the area well enough to name it, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. A couple different ones.
Alright.
So that's really all you get out of those documents.
And what about the leather bag?
The bag, you find marbles of all things in it. Like
Marbles?
marbles, yeah. Yep, just 3 glass marbles.
And I'm going to pull out the gold ring
Mm-hmm.
and ask Vieri, surely your family has a known jeweler within town, yes?
More than likely.
I'd like to have him inspect this. Possibly he might be able to tell us who made it, or possibly who owned it, if he was the maker.
Actually, I had a sudden thought.
Mm-hmm.
You said there were wave-like patterns on it?
Yes.
Is Kamal still present?
I would say by now he's headed out, because it's been some hours and he just wanted a nap.
I wonder if there's some connection between this and those posters we saw. Waves make me think of the sea.
Yes. Quite right.
But I suppose there's nothing to look into about that for the moment. Let us follow up on your thought.
Okay, so you're going to want to roll contacts then.
Contacts. +7.
+7? Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, you know a jeweler.
Okay.
Contacts is my best skill.
Yeah.
Perhaps it might be better if you were to inquire about this than I.
Would you care to accompany me?
I shall.
So I'm going to say his name is Enzo.
Enzo the jeweler.
Yep. So you head down to Enzo's shop.
Yes.
He is just finishing up a sale with another customer, who gives him a nod and a smile and then exits. He looks up at you and says, "Greetings. I can perhaps... Oh! Vieri, are you perhaps here finally for a nice ring for a pretty lady?"
Unfortunately, no. You are, however, the first on my list when such a time comes.
He smiles. "Well, I'm glad to know. Hopefully, soon one of these days."
Yes. It is more than likely, I believe. I was actually wondering if you might take a look at something and tell me if there are any ways to identify its owner, its maker, anything of the like. And
I may be able to. He places his hand out. Can I take a look?
Vieri will drop the ring into his hand.
He studies it for a little bit and says, "The craftsmanship actually looks like one of my apprentices that just recently struck it out on his own."
Really?
Yes. This looks like his earlier work, so it probably would have been made when he was still here. He's actually at Florence now. He moved.
Is this his personal symbol, or would that have been done by request?
It would have been done by request.
Does the mark mean anything to you?
Probably a sailor or seafaring merchant would have requested this sort of thing. But it's a very simple design, so it would have been relatively, I mean, it's gold, so it's still worth far more than a pauper is going to be able to afford, but it's not a especially difficult design to do, let's say.
I see.
So a lower on the totem pole noble could have had this commission.
Alright. And you're a friend. What?
I could try looking through my papers and find out who it was made for specifically, if you like.
I would appreciate that a great deal.
He says, give me a moment. I think I know what year at least it would have been. So he disappears in the back and starts rummaging around and says, let's see.
I turn to Vieri. This is very hopeful.
Yes. This sort of thing is more in line with my talents and experience than our other pursuits of late.
He returns and says, so a ring like this was commissioned for Carlo Giorgio. However, he reported it stolen and had another piece made out of copper that was otherwise similar later on.
Really? What was the name again? I'd better write that down.
Carlo Giorgio.
Carlo Giorgio. Ring.
And I don't think my pen's gonna work.
Was he a one-time client or a repeat customer?
Just when he had us make the less expensive version after the original one was stolen. Other than that, we hadn't heard from him. But that was some years ago.
Might you know if he's an associate of the DiMercurio line?
I don't know. I know they're not quite proper nobility. They were a family of merchants that were growing. For a time, at least. I think their ventures have faded into obscurity.
Pity.
Alright, well, I believe that is everything.
He says, I'm glad to have helped.
I greatly appreciate your assistance. I'll give him a tip.
He smiles and says, good day to you.
Oh, by the way, how much is that ring worth?
He gives you a number that is, if you're not wealthy, would still sound like a lot, but if you're Vieri, would not sound like very much.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
It's the sort of ring that somebody without like a ton of money saves up for a long time, or somebody like Vieri can buy just whenever, easily. And definitely plated with gold and not solid.
All right, yeah. Well, thank you.
He says, you're welcome, and bids you farewell.
And I pocket the ring.
So you pocket the ring and exit the shop?
Yep.
It sounds to me as though Carlo hired the wrong sailor.
Could very well have been. Let's see. Make me a notice check.
Okay.
When you're outside.
0!
Plus
You
5.
don't really notice anything, but Mark, Octavio easily hears some commotion. Like, It's the next block over, so you wouldn't have ordinarily even have heard it, but the wind is carrying it your way. And it sounds like a crowd and some shouting.
There's a bustle nearby.
Oh, let's go
So,
see. There's
Yes.
been a great deal of activity of late.
So you head over there. There's guards that are dragging this man with the head of a crow through a crowd of humans who are yelling different slurs that you would towards Lottie, calling a beast, calling him a monster. One is just calling him a chicken. And he's being dragged off, and he's yelling, "Throw off your masks! Let the world see your face, for your face is the sign of your sin. But we will all be redeemed. We will all be redeemed." And he's just being dragged off. He has a dagger in his hand, which has a bit of blood dripping off of it. And you can see another woman is sort of clutched over, being helped out by another guard.
Salati woman or a human woman?
Human, it looks like.
I'll turn to a random person in the street who happens to be near us and say, "What? Pardon me. What occurred here?"
Crazy crow. He started ranting, and that woman tried to get him to settle down, and he lashed out at her and struck her and wounded her hand.
Ranting about what?
About all of his kind, them ripping their masks off and showing their faces to the world, and stuff about like salvation is coming, and just some sort of fanatic. Crazy. A lot of them. There is a reason that they stay in the circle. These sorts of things don't happen as long as they stay in the circle.
The circle being the
That's
area
what
where
they
they...
call the Salati district, yeah.
Yeah, the district.
And another man turns and says, "I really think they need to just wall that place off like they used to, not let them out. Like, they've gotten too lenient on them."
Barry will ignore them for the moment and watch the crow that's being led off. I'm assuming it's a guardsman.
Yeah, it's a couple guards are dragging him off. He keeps ranting, and they finally get him to force him to drop the dagger, and one of them hits him over the head. It sort of slumps over.
Are they going in the direction of a guardhouse or something?
They're going towards the main square, which is also where the prison is.
Shall we go? Shall we follow?
Yeah. Do any of the guards pick up the dagger?
One of them does, yes.
Dang.
He stoops down and grabs it. They haul the crow off to the square and start bringing him towards the prison. Unless my mind is completely going, it's St. Mark's Square, the big, huge square in Venice, and where the Doge's palace is actually connected to the prison by the Bridge of Sighs. So they haul him through crowds and crowds of people because it's a very bustling portion of the city. A lot of pigeons just erupting around them, and they drag him inside the jail and prison. Do you do anything when they're doing this?
I would rather like to question him.
He's knocked out at the moment.
Yeah. I'm going to use Phantasm,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to the one guard. No, actually, I'm gonna do it for the crowd that's kind of following as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna go basically behind us. I'm going to use a phantasm of a woman yelling for help.
So one of the guards turns to the other and says, "I'll handle the crow. You go attend to whoever else needs help. He's not going anywhere." And the one of the guards darts off in the direction of the illusion.
All right.
I'm going to go up to the guard with the crow.
Okay.
Since he seems busy, I guess I'll just go. Pardon me, sir.
He says, yes, sir, I've got to get this fellow in before he can cause any more problems.
Oh, I'm not trying to stop him. I'm falling into step next to him.
Okay.
I am very dest. I would very much appreciate the opportunity to speak with this man, if such a thing would be permissible.
He says, I can't give anyone permission, but I could talk to my superior. Where can you be reached?
At my villa. And I'll provide the address.
Okay. He says, I'll see what I can do, but no guarantees.
Or could I perhaps speak with your superior myself?
He says there's the... Yeah, actually, you could, if he's not busy at the moment.
Well,
He points to the entrance of the prison.
I will head towards the entrance of the prison.
So you and the guard walk towards there. The guard goes down a different corridor than you do, and he sort of gestures to wait.
All right. Are you following or not?
No.
Not following.
Nothing like the confidence of a nobleman, huh?
Yeah. I will just stand out on the wall, near the wall.
So the guard disappears for a time and then returns and says, I'll see if my superior will speak to you. And then he walks down the other direction. A short time later, he returns with a older, gray-haired but muscular man. Says, good day, my name is Lorenzo. You had questions regarding a recently brought-in prisoner?
Yes, please let me introduce myself. I am Lord Vieri d'Est. Perhaps you are aware of my father.
He says, yes, I am familiar.
I have the same, concerns of our city. I have seen odd posters of late, and this man, that creature's ravings seem to indicate some connection to them. I was wondering if I might speak with him, or you might assuage my my concerns on the matter.
Well, policy would be that we have to speak with him first. I can tell you that there's a problem in town that has appeared a couple months ago. However, since then, he's been gaining a following. He came from Florence. His name is Savonarola. He's a crazy preacher from Florence that, from what I heard, he actually took it for a time. Just the degree with which he whipped his masses into a frenzy, and even the Medici had to flee.
He conquered Florence?
He did.
Are we in any danger here?
Yes, this is a serious situation, assuming that is the real Savonarola, and so far we have our suspicion that it is not. We think we have a pretender.
A pretender seeking the use of influence gained elsewhere. I'm presuming you're speaking of the same group that is putting up these posters I was referring to.
Yeah, it would be that one.
I see.
We theorize that it is one of these Salati.
That would stand to reason, given the appearance of your recent prisoner.
Yes, it certainly would. But we haven't been able to find the ringleader yet. We don't even know where he's getting converts out of, besides that the circle would make the most sense, but that's a large area.
Yes.
It is spreading like a plague, with us not being able to find a source yet.
Such things do tend to do so. Would it be permissible for me to speak with him once your men are finished with him? I would like to provide my assistance, should I be able to?
Roll rapport.
I'm going to spend a fate point and apply my high concept aspect, the heir of Dest.
Okay, you're using the weight of
seems-
your reputation.
Yes, that
Okay.
seems appropriate here. And I wind up with a +3 +5.
Excellent. He says, yes, I can arrange for that. That would be fine. You're going to have to probably wait another hour before he comes to. He was knocked out, I think, worse than the guards intended.
That's perfectly acceptable.
So, what's Octavio doing?
Good question.
Don't get yourself arrested.
No, I'm kind of hanging back along the wall, trying to be inconspicuous. Just watching, trying to note any troublemakers, any anti-Salati folk. Trying to take note of if anybody is acting suspicious.
So, I'm trying to think of if any of your concepts would come into play here. I am not thinking of anything especially, except for you can make a notice check.
Okay. +5.
Alright, so you do notice that there's two men whom they blended in pretty well, the crowd, but I'm going to compel looks can be deceiving. You think that there is something more to them at the moment than they appear to be giving away. So their looks can be deceiving, and these two are being deceptive in their blending together with the crowd. They're up to something.
Mm.
You're not sure what, though, so that's a compel that you get a fate point for if you investigate.
Alright.
They give you a sort of creepy vibe.
Mm.
They seem to be sort of watching the prison closely.
Alright. I will investigate. So I get a fate point for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just how? I was going to ask if there is there a large group of pigeons nearby?
Yeah, there's a large group of pigeons pretty much everywhere.
Okay, I'm going to subtly basically use my magicka and just basically manipulate the air to stir up the pigeons.
Alright, what did you get on your magicka check?
I haven't rolled it yet. 3 plus 3.
3? So the pigeons all burst into flight in the area, and it's sort of like a chain reaction of just a flurry of pigeons. People move out of the way. You hear a guy going, "Nah, it just crapped on my head." And the two individuals, you now are observing them. They seem to be taking advantage of the motion of all these birds themselves to sort of make their way scouting the area. Like they're casing the joint.
Okay. Alright. And I will just I'll pull back and kind of hang by the wall and try to be unobserved.
So they circumnavigate the area, looking around. You can tell that they're poking around for, are there any vulnerabilities to this place? Is there any way that they maybe could get their friend out, perhaps? You have a suspicion that they're curious about the fellow they just brought in.
How are they dressed?
They're dressed actually fairly much like normal people.
Just the average folk? Just
Yeah.
Like,
And if you hadn't really been attentive, you wouldn't have noticed them at all.
Okay. Anything particular about them as far as like their skin color, or I tell if they're like Mediterranean or?
As you study one, you think that he might be neuter or a hermaphrodite, because you really can't tell his gender.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's the one thing that stands out, but he's trying to look more like a male than a female.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is definitely very obviously male, though.
All right.
They look around and study the area, and eventually they start heading down an alley towards another neighborhood.
All right. I'll quietly follow.
Okay, stealth check.
Stealth. Do I have stealth? I don't have stealth.
It's okay because I rolled a +0. You might beat that.
So that's just +0, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you beat them. So you're following them. They dart around some alleys until they come to a small house, more like a ruined apartment building, really, not a small house, and they duck inside,
All right.
closing the door behind them.
What's this neighborhood like? What's this particular street?
The neighborhood is a ways away from the square, and it's run down, just a poor district.
Poor, yeah. Is it towards the Salati district?
It's getting close to it, but it is a human district.
Okay. So it looks like an abandoned place that somebody.
Yeah, it looks like an abandoned apartment building. In any of those abandoned apartment buildings, you can assume there actually are plenty of squatters.
Yeah. All right, I'll head back to the.
All right.
Back to the prison.
So the guard allows you to speak with the prisoner after about an hour when he wakes up, and he leads you into the prison area,
Mm-hmm.
the initial prison area where they first throw them into, and you see him sort of clutching his head like he's really, he's got a headache. And he does look like just a man with a raven's head just put on it. Almost like an Egyptian deity sort of look.
Like Kamal, except a raven, not a jackal.
Yeah, exactly.
Good afternoon. I was wondering if you might be willing to speak with me about redemption.
Why would they let you in here if you wanted to speak about that? They have no interest in that at all.
Yes, as you can see, I'm not a guardsman.
Why would they let you in? And he looks up. I don't suppose you can get that fellow to go away. And the guard shakes his head and says, no. He says, I'm Alessandro.
It's good to meet you.
Could be better circumstances.
Yes, prisons are not conducive towards discussions, I have found.
So you wanted to hear about the good word, then?
I do, yes.
Savonarola. He almost mended Florence, curing it of its sins. And our people would have walked as humans amongst everyone else. We would have lived normal lives. But then he was chased out. He's here now. He's going to save us. He has a way we can be human.
Be human?
Yes.
As in transform?
Yes. To be pure.
How fascinating. I've never heard of such a thing before.
Neither had I. But he says it's possible.
What
We
must...
have...
Hello?
Huh?
You froze.
Did I? Okay. He was saying that we have demons in all of us, and he can cleanse us of them.
Has he spoken of methods of such a thing?
I just know it will happen when Venice is married to the sea. La Festa della Senza, that day.
Ah, yes. I've seen signs of such things.
It is a day of water, and there will be fire.
What manner of fire?
Purifying fire.
I see. Have you been given any tasks to perform leading up to such events?
He says, no, not yet. Just waiting.
So you're simply seeking to spread the word through your actions.
Of course. It wouldn't be right for me to do other. But that woman was very, very mean. She was bad.
What did she do to warrant such a fate?
She tried to restrain me and stop me from preaching.
Mhm. Have you many compatriots in your cause?
Of course. More and more of us, every day.
Would it be possible to speak with others?
Yeah, but I can't tell you where right now. The guard, you notice, is looking very sternly at him at that moment. Because he thinks he's found some way to find out more about this. He says, I can't say anything more.
I see. Well, that's a disappointment. There's nowhere I might go to learn more of such things?
He looks down and sort of like sad almost. He says, no, there's nothing more I can say. I might have even already said too much.
All right. Well, I thank you for the words you've given me.
He sort of nods, and his feathers fluff up for a moment. The guard behind you says, any more questions for these prisoner? I think that I might have to try my own hand at things. There may be some I've find out that you have not.
Yeah.
He clearly knows where they are, at least.
Yeah, I know. The problem is, Vieri is not as willing to use unpleasant methods as the guard is. Vieri will look at the guard for a moment, and he'll look back at the bird, and he'll say, "Are you quite certain there's nothing more that you can share with me? I suspect the guardsman here will not be as considerate in what he wishes to know, and your cooperation with myself may go far in sparing you such things."
His feathers sort of flatten down, and he looks at the guard. Do a rapport check, because you're trying to get him to spill the beans without tormenting him or anything.
Yeah. +3. +3.
He says, if I tell you, then he'll know, but I think he's gonna know anyway, so I'll talk. He gives you an address in the Salati district. It's the port side of the Salati district, just right along where there's actually, it's very much near where the Bulls headquarters was. So right where the docks that you're more familiar with sort of meets the Salati district. Very, very run down.
All right. I thank you.
He says, You're welcome. And he's sort of, with his beady bird eye, looking up at the guard. So, Octavio, you are by this building that is probably full of squatters.
I thought I mentioned that I headed back.
Oh, you headed back. Okay.
Back
So that means when you exit that, Vieri and Octavio will meet up.
Well, I wanted to speak with the captain first.
Okay.
So I'm still outside. So I'll just wait.
The captain says, yes, you were efficient at getting a fair amount out of him.
Yes. In light of that, I thought that I might propose a bit of what might be an unorthodox solution, or at least part-time solution. Perhaps if you allow me to go and seek what information I might before sending in the guards, it may do much to obtain more information and prevent any sort of panics that might otherwise be caused by an official investigation.
He sighs and says, I can't, unfortunately. However, we take more time than you and your friend to move towards action for these things anyhow, as we must plan our motions carefully.
I see.
And as we actually will be going in with a sizable force. That means that if you act before us, it might be enough time for you anyways. I would ask that you do not do anything to cause them to leave their location.
Yes, that would set the investigation back.
It would, and you'd be arrested for causing that sort of disruption.
Very well. Well, thank you for your leniency. Your permission, I should say.
He says, yes. Well, a good day to you. We'll be making our own preparations.
And to you. Now Vieri will leave.
Okay, so you two meet up back on the square. The pigeons having mostly settled back down. Somebody's throwing bread out to them. You notice here and there there's a few that somebody painted because they have like red or blue paint on their feathers.
Well, that was most illuminating.
Yes, what did you find out?
A possible insurrection is coming.
That's not good.
No. Have you heard of
Savonarola.
Savola? I missed the last name.
It's just Savonarola is what he's known as.
Oh, Savonarola.
Yep.
No, I haven't.
He is a Salati, or she is a Salati that apparently conquered Florence for a brief time. And is either present in the city or someone claiming to be this person is in the city. Proclaiming cleansing fire shall come upon the festival of the sea and purge the demons from within us all.
Yep.
Whew.
I believe such an outcome or event is undesirable.
Yes. As we will surely be blamed. And by
Me?
we, I mean
Oh.
our kind will be blamed. I took note of a couple of peculiar acting fellows in the crowd after you went inside. I was able to follow them. They seem to be looking intently at the prison. I do think they plan on possibly breaking out the crow, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I followed them several blocks away to what appeared to be an abandoned building.
What was the address?
Do I know the street?
Yeah, you do. You would know where it is exactly.
Yeah, I can take you there. But yes.
The guard is sending out a small battalion, but the captain has given us leave to investigate prior to their departure. As he put it, it will take him longer to mobilize than we might investigate on our own. If you have interest in doing such.
Fortuitous.
The only caveat is we must be certain to prevent any departure of its inhabitants from the place.
So they're sending guards into the whole district.
Yes. I have an address. My suspicion is that they will lock down the district and then send their platoon directly to this address that I have acquired.
Yes, let's go there.
Okay. Now, I have a question. Since I have 3 players I expected that aren't here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to stop here and
Yeah, I know it's really a short game, which is unfortunate, but I'd rather not cut at least a rather regular out of this if I can help it.
And that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine by me anyway.
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to stop broadcast. We will run that scene next game, which, as long as we have the 3 regulars, can go much longer. All right. Well, thanks.